My today talk is about digital great Soviet science. As we know, science claims to create a matrix of the 20th century human consciousness. Recently, sociologists recorded the increased sympathy for the Soviet project among Russians. USSR was mainly constituted by the cult of science. The Soviet regime considered one of the priority tasks to develop people's scientific worldview. The Soviet scientific project turned out to be extremely successful, among other things, due to the comprehensive and deep science mediatization. Indeed, in the late Soviet period of the 1970s and 1980s, the level of scientific thinking among the population was extremely high. So against this background, in the modern media landscape, various digital publications about Soviet science appeared, including successful Soviet experience in combating pandemics. My goal is to reveal Soviet science modern digital media representation. The primary task is to compare the main Soviet popular science genre and thematic areas with their manifestation on the most popular modern scientific and educational network platforms due grey literature materials. The grey literature materials genre composition includes digital articles, podcasts, lectures, essays. Different science communicators has been involved into such popular science projects, partly on some platforms, mostly scientists themselves. Let me define several pretty obvious levels of science representation in the USSR, which provided absolute science authority into Soviet society. The first level organization of science. In the USSR, an effective science policy has been formed. Thanks to this strategy, subcultural niches appeared, represented state within the state, alternative to the dominant ideology. The academy could contradict the authorities. The unique environment of research institutes and science cities was created. The modern actionist and scandalous art project Dao, named after the Russian physicist Leo Landau, successfully held in Europe, also reconstructed this unique matrix with its own methods. The Soviet science structure and organization has been deployed in sufficient details on the modern network platforms. Basically, this is about the Academy of Sciences, nuclear and space projects, mainly in the aspects of relationship between the scientific environment and the government. The second level, propaganda of science importance in the Soviet society. Soviet science was called to replace the repressed religion in the public consciousness. During the Soviet era, scientist himself was a cult person, and the space cosmos was something like new religion. Science popularization was interpreted as a scientist's social duty. At the same time, certain standards of popularization were formed, and the status of scientific knowledge was cultivated as elite and close to the uninitiated at the same time. The Soviet media propaganda entire system, newspapers, radio, TV, constantly broadcasted theses about priority position of science into the Soviet society. The role of science in the modern Russia, unfortunately, can't be even compared with the Soviet era, although efforts have been made to fix the situation. Thus, the current year officially declared as the Year of Science and Technology in Russia. The first human flight into the space, still interpreted as one of the main factors in uniting the nation. Anniversary of the flight we celebrated this April, and Yuri Gagarin becomes media celebrity. A lot of different digital literature materials appeared at this time. The popularization of knowledge was carried out through the press. There was a science heading in almost in each edition. Newspapers, magazines. In the 1960s, the first half of the 1980s, the iconic brand of Soviet popular science journalism, the magazine with millions of circulations, Science and Life, has been extremely popular among the Soviet intelligentsia. The surviving Soviet popular science magazines have lost their influence, and their history mostly had represented by the digital popular science, but dissertations, PhD theses about them have been written from time to time. The third level, the symbolic status of science was ensured by cinema, movies, and fiction. Initially, in the early 1930s, the Soviet Communist Party leaderships formed an order for the science coverage by fiction, by literature. The scientific agenda became organic very quickly to the Soviet literature and art. Avant-garde art corresponded to the avant-garde science, searching immortality for the political elite, regeneration experiments, the abolition of the sexes, and so on. This direction associated with the popular culture, the most in demand within modern digital popular science. And the fourth level. Scientific agenda has accumulated social issues, and this was almost the only single legal channel for avoiding state ideology. It's really not noteworthy that Khrushchev's thaw began with the popular science literature. Science fiction provided social engineering. There was a real cult of Ivan Yefremov novel named Andromeda Nebula. The exploration of the galaxy has been closely connected with the planetary communism society idea. At this time, against the background of de-Stalinization, a return was made to the ideas of the theoretics of the socialist state, such Lenin, Trotsky, who called for the world communism. The construction of world communism was transferred to the open space or the ocean depth. The unity with movies and literature fiction is especially important in the science mediatization process. Famous Andrei Tarkovsky movie Stalker has based on brothers Strugatsky novel as Solaris based on the novel on the same name by the Polish science fiction writer and futurist Stanisław Lem. Scientific publicism role was extremely high during Gorbachev's perestroika, reconstruction. Leading social and humanitarian scientists, academicians spoke publicly about ideological and economical renewal of the country. The ideas of social responsibility of the science and scientists In the situation of networked civilization and artificial intelligence establishment are becoming the most popular. The Strugatsky brothers' novels are equally frequent mentioned in the great literature materials as Yuri Gagarin himself or Andrei Sakharov. Going to conclusions. The level of the Soviet science mediatization can be described as really deep. Success of the Soviet science mediatization efforts was contributed by comprehensive state support for the scientific knowledge promotion, which determined the comprehensive communication channels, focusing not on scientific public relations or monetization, but on the audience scientific worldview development. Symbolic potential of science was based on its unity with literature and art. Correlation with the public agenda and moral searches of the Soviet intelligentsia was very important too. Soviet experience in the science mediatization demonstrates a constructive meaning that supplemented and in some ways not duplicated the Western system. In today's pandemic context and closed societies, this experience becomes relevant again. Pandemic has revealed significant problems in communication between science and society. And this problematic is connected, among other things, with the superficial, not deep nature of science mediatization general process. What is clear on the example of the Soviet science digital gray. Political and ideological agenda replaces meaningful conversation about science and such. Thank you very much.